everybody and welcome back to my channel. For today's video I wanted to start a new series on my channel, basically a bridal makeup series. So obviously you will all know that I do bridal makeup for a living, and there are so many different types of bridal makeup looks that you can choose from, but often people come to me and maybe they have an idea or they've seen something on Pinterest but they maybe don't know exactly what they want, or they don't know how to express what they want, like to describe it. So I thought I'd start a new series on my channel basically demonstrating the types of makeup looks which I do most often. So today I'm going to be showing you how to create this very dewy, mauvey, smoky, very pretty and fresh makeup look. I love this. This is one of my favourite ones to do on people. So when they ask me for something like this, I'm always like, yes, because it's quite glam. Like, this is a bit more than just a natural makeup look. This is kind of a very glam bridal look, which I personally love and I think looks beautiful in pictures. So if you want to see how I created this look, or if you're maybe thinking about doing your makeup yourself on your wedding day, then just keep watching. So the first thing we're going to do is our brows. Now I'm going to do these slightly differently because I feel like every time I do my brows in a tutorial, I'm always just slinging on the bloody Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows and that being it, done. And I think a lot of you will want maybe a little bit more than that. So today I'm actually going to fill my brows in with the Rimmel London Brow Pencil in the shade Dark Brown. So this is what it looks like. I have obviously got really fair eyebrows, so if you've got nice dark eyebrows then I'm obviously very jealous of you, but mine really need tinting. But what I do is I'll draw a little line underneath for where I want the brow to finish. Now this is much darker than my natural brow colour because I like my brows are a little bit darker basically. And then I will take a mascara wand or a spoolie or any type of brush and just brush that product through my brows so you've not just got a stark line, and then I will just gradually build on top of that. So I'll do a little line at the top as well, basically just trying to carve out the shape that I want for my brows, but not really filling it in. I'm just creating a more defined shape. So once the shape's there, I'm then going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Legendary lashes and I'm going to use this to fill in the rest of the brow. So obviously this is our wedding day, so we don't want this to be too dark, but you want them to be defined and able to frame your face a little bit. So a product like the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows is really good for keeping your brows looking a little bit more natural. But obviously for those of you that do want a little bit more definition, just using a little pencil just to guide where you want your brow to sort of start and finish is a nice little trick. So it just gives us a nice natural fluffy looking brow. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I am then just going to carve them out slightly, but nothing too crazy because, as I said, this is bridal makeup, so everything needs to be very, very soft and blended. So we don't want anything too harsh. So I will literally just take this under my brow very gently, just to clean it up, being quite conscious not to use too much product, but just enough just to clean it. And then just going to take that concealer over the rest of the brow. I don't know if I mentioned which one it is, but you can probably guess it's the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer, and this is in the shade 2. So for eyeshadow, I'm going to be using a custom Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, which I made myself. I actually bought the little individuals and then put them in. Now I think there's Champagne Pink and there's Birkin, and I can't remember the names of the other two, but what I'll do is I'll find out what they're called and link them down below so that they're there for you. But obviously, just looking at the palette, I've just got a neutral grey-ish brown, a warm light brown, very, very light. I've got a champagne-y mauve colour there, which is almost like a foil, and then I think this is Birkin, and this is a matte dark purple, which I won't use a lot of. It's mainly the other shades. So I'm going to start by taking this shade here, which is the warmer light brown, and I'm literally just going to dust this through the crease. So you just want to be popping it right in this part of your eye here, and then window wiper motions I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible for you guys out there, because I know there's nothing worse than following along with a tutorial and being like, I can't do that. So let's try and keep it really simple, which my bridal looks tend to be quite simple anyway, because obviously brides want quite classic, fresh looking makeup. But today I'm going to try and keep it extra simple for you. So the products in the brush, right in the crease, that's the part of the eye which you can't see when it's closed. When it's open, sorry. So the crease is literally just like this bit here where I'm rubbing. It's literally the part which when you open your eye, it's that little socket there that your eye falls back into. And what you want to do is, as you're doing window wiper motions, is as you look straight ahead, you want to create a more defined shadow in this area. So I will sometimes blend up slightly. I mean, all the time on me. But depending on what you like the look of, you might like it just as it is, or you might want it slightly smokier looking. If you want it to look slightly more smoky rather than just defined, you just want to take that shadow up slightly. I mean, this shadow that we're working with is extremely light, so you can't really go wrong. As you can see the difference between this eye and this eye, all it does is adds a little bit of depth and creates that bit of shadow, and that's just going to make your eye stand out a little bit. So it's almost going to give you that like makeup but no makeup type look. So let's do the other eye. So straight in the crease, window wiper motions. Look forward, blend out further for a more smoky look. Okay, so once you're happy with that, I'm then just going to take the more grey colour here, and I'm going to concentrate that on the outer part of the eye, so this outer corner here. And all I'm doing is pressing that colour in slightly, and then right on the outer part, blending it into the crease with that other colour and just winging it out slightly. So you're basically keeping it on this outer third and then gradually, very, very slightly blending it outwards. And as you can see, that just starts to create this very, very natural looking smoky eye. So we'll do the same thing on the other eye. Okay, so then we want to take our pink champagne shade here, and you're going to be using your finger, so you want to press it into the pan like that, and because it's a foil, it's going to come up a lot more pigmented on your finger than it will do on a brush. So once it's on your finger, you want to just press it onto the lid. And the nice thing about this colour is it's very, very shimmery, but it's very, very classic and pretty. Because it's more of a mauvey pink rather than a pink pink, it just comes across so much more delicate and timeless than having a pink shadow. So this is a really nice alternative to anybody who maybe doesn't want to do gold or doesn't want to do a bronzy type of eye or something like that. Like, this type of mauve shade is so pretty. Now what you can do, if you want to make it a little bit more intense in colour, you can take a flat shader brush like this, and then you want a little bit of a setting spray. This one is the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, herbs and rose water. And you just want to wet your brush a little bit and then put the wet brush into that foiled eyeshadow. And what the wetness will do is make it a lot more pigmented. So I don't know if you can see there, having a wet brush would just increase the pigment in the shadow. Although it's still lovely on its own with your finger, but if you're just wanting to intensify the colour a little bit, this is a good way of doing it. So when it comes to doing your eyeliner, the best thing to do is try and get a liquid eyeliner pen rather than using a pot and a brush. That can sometimes be a little bit faffy. So I like these pens like this, and I will just take a bit of the product and dab it onto my hand like that, just to make sure it's all coming out properly. And then we don't want to create anything that's too thick. We want this to be natural, but we want it to just amp up the look of the eye a little bit. So what I will do is I will have my mirror right in front of me and I will look down, and instead of trying to draw a line, I will literally just do little strokes like this. And keep it as thin and as close to the lash line as possible. Tiny little strokes, even just pressing the pen onto your lash line will do the job. You just want it to be enough so you can see that it's there, but not too much that you're thinking, oh my god, she's wearing eyeliner. You want it to be very, very natural. So I'll do the same thing on the other eye so that you can see. So I'm just taking the pen and doing the tiniest, tiniest strokes. Once you've got that tiny, tiny little bit of liquid eyeliner on, I'm gonna take this very, very dark purple shade and I'm gonna take it on a tiny little pencil smudging brush like this, and I'm gonna take it on the outer part of the eye where we've put that liner, and I'm gonna smudge it into that liner. But as you can see, I'm only putting that shade from about halfway back, and I'm leaving this little bit of eyeliner in the inner corner free of colour. And then what I will do is I'll take a tiny bit of that darker shade on my blending brush, and I will just blend it into this very, very outer part of the eye here, just to make it all come together a little bit. So then we're doing the exact same on the other side, so taking that dark purpley colour, and then taking your big blending brush with a tiny bit of the darker shadow on and blending it all in together. And then we just want to take a baby wipe and clear up all this eyeshadow which is fallen down. So you don't want to touch obviously what you've blended out here, but just remove anything that's fallen onto your cheeks and under your eye. So for lashes today, I'm going to be using the style Lush from JLG Cosmetics. I will link their Instagram down below because they're amazing. They do some beautiful eyelashes. And these are my most popular ones for brides. They tend to be the set, if people want eyelashes but they don't know what type of eyelashes they want, this is the set I tend to use on them because they're actually quite a short lash. I don't know if you can see there. They're quite a short lash, but you can build them up quite easily. So sometimes if a bride wants a little bit more, or I feel like they need a little bit more, I can just add a few individual lashes on the end so it creates a more of a fan-like shape. So that's why I like using these, because they are really versatile. But before the lashes actually go on, I'm just going to pop on a little bit of mascara. And I'm then just going to pop the lashes on. Now I do have a video explaining how to apply false eyelashes. I will leave it linked down below. It was my last video before this one. So hopefully a lot of you will have seen that already and will already know my tips on tricks on how to apply false eyelashes. But I'm literally doing the exact same method. So if you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. And then I'm just going to skip the whole putting eyelashes part on. So the next time you see me, I will have them on. Right, so that is the eyelashes on. Now you can still see a little bit of the glue. You will get that where it dries. It'll take a little while for it to dry, but when it does dry it will go clear. Now for the majority of people, what we've got on now will be enough, but there will be a few of you that feel like, yeah, they're really pretty, but I want a little bit more. And this can be for any type of lash. If you put a lash on and you think, yeah, they're nice, but I want just a little bit more, maybe a bit more on the outside. Now you can buy these amazing packs from Primark, and I buy these all the time because they are just so awesome, and I've never seen anywhere else do any, well, that's a lie. I have seen other places do products like this, but they're always really expensive, and I just think, what's the point? It's like for friggin' one day. Like maybe for your wedding you want to just like, you don't care, you want the right thing, whatever. But I don't know, I find that even the cheap ones of these work really well, and that is these cluster lashes. Now, a lot of you will have seen me use individual lashes that come in a tiny, like there's just one little section that connects 3 hairs. Well, if you look closely at these, they are like in bigger clusters. So it means that when you're applying one of these, you're actually applying 3 of the individuals, if that makes sense. So it's a lot easier to do. So I will take a pack of these and I will take the row from the top because they are the shortest, and I will literally, right, you pull them out and they come off like that in a big section. Dip it in the lash glue. These are so easy, like unbelievably easy. And then you want to turn your lash so it's sitting the right way, and you literally just drop it down. That easy. You can sometimes have a little fiddle if you want to get it more in place. So when I'm feeling like really bougie and extra, I'll take the lashes, I'll actually apply them underneath the lashes. And what this will do is it will create more depth underneath and on top. But because you're letting the glue nearly be almost dry when you stick them on, it's literally doing the work for you. Like, it's so easy. So the next step is actually going to be what's going to be most important for a lot of you, because this is the point in which a lot of people are just like, I just want my skin to look really, really good and clear and clean and fresh, but not heavy. And you obviously want it to be dewy and look really pretty in pictures still. So the first thing that I like to do is use this Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, because this is honestly the best thing in the whole wide world. This is really good at obviously moisturising and nourishing the skin and getting it ready for makeup, but also allowing you to put matte products on over the top and still allowing that glow to come through. The thing is, you do need matte products on the skin to allow the makeup to last all day, but a lot of people don't want their makeup to look matte. So this is a really nice product just to put underneath your makeup to allow the glow to still come through. So I use a mixture of different foundations on people depending on what they're after or what they're used to using from day to day on themselves anyway. But the one a lot of people like if they're not used to wearing foundation at all, or maybe are only used to wearing a very light foundation, is the MAC Face and Body. So this is really good because it gives you coverage, but it's a really liquidy, water-based foundation. So I'm going to shake it so you can hear how liquidy it is. Like, it's literally like putting water on your face. Like, honestly, it's so liquidy and very, very thin. So when it goes on, you can barely feel it, but it still gives you a little bit of coverage and that glow. So I'm going to use that today, but I am going to have to mix it with a little bit of my L'Oreal True Match, which you know I love anyway, just because I've obviously got fake tan on, so I need to get the colour right. Mixing foundations is actually something I do a lot with people, particularly people who want the coverage but want the dewiness, and they're like, oh, I don't like certain foundations. I just end up mixing them because it's just the best way to get the finish that they want. So actually mixing my L'Oreal True Match with my MAC Face and Body is something I do quite a lot anyway. So I'm mixing those two together, and I'm going to use a different brush today. I've just picked up this bloody brush and I've never used it for foundation, but here we go. And when applying your foundation, I will literally start on the cheeks because that's where we want the most coverage. So you want to start by putting the product in the area where you want the most coverage. So you don't want to just put loads of foundation everywhere. So this brush is the Morphe E49, and this is actually working the foundation in really beautifully. So as you can see, I laid it down on my cheeks first, and then I'm gradually working it over the rest of the skin. And I don't know if you can see, that coverage is so soft and gentle and beautiful, elegant, and not too much. That just feels so lovely, and you can just see the dewiness. So then what I will do with some people, so this is just dependent on what you like, but sometimes I will take an illuminator over the top, which I am going to do for myself because I really like to be quite glowy anyway. And this is the original iconic London Illuminator drops, and these are really intense, so I will literally just pop a few on the high points here and then take a brush and blend them in. Now, highlighter isn't for everybody, it is for me, and I do think it finishes off a bridal look really nicely. So I will do this even if somebody says they don't want to be highlighted, like how you see on Instagram. this can be nice just to put underneath powder so that they've still got a little bit of luminosity coming through, but you don't have to powder highlight. So that just gives us that extra bit of dewiness before we start adding powder. So when it comes to concealer, my absolute favourite concealer is obviously the Collection Lasting Perfection. That's literally one of the only products of concealer that you see me use on this channel, and that's because it is the best and it is the most affordable. So obviously if you've got any blemishes on your face, now's the time to go in and just cover them, buff them out. This concealer is great for that. I'm quite lucky, I have quite good skin, so, or at least today I do. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and, oh well, not a little bit, I'm probably going to do quite a lot. But obviously not everybody likes a heavy concealer under your eye, so this is very much whatever you want to do it. I like to conceal quite a lot because I have quite dark circles, so I'll just take the concealer like that and highlight the centre part of my face, because this is going to bring a little bit more dimension back. So you see how that just gets that nice little bit of concentrated lightness under the eyes. And then I'll take my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, the only powder which you're going to want to be using on your wedding day. Honestly, it's the best powder in the world, and I don't understand why you wouldn't use anything else, quite honestly. And this is in the shade 2, so this is a little bit darker than that concealer, and it's going to bring everything back to a normal, cohesive skin colour, if you see what I mean. So it's gonna make that lightness not too light, but still keep it light. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just make sure to really set everything under the eyes really, really well, because you do not want that to be moving. Now, powder for me is the key part of making makeup last all day. So at this point, anywhere that you suffer with oiliness, or you suffer with your makeup coming away throughout the day, maybe around your mouth, really, yeah, for a lot of people that's around the mouth, the chin, the nose, and on their forehead. So anywhere where they suffer with oiliness, basically, you want to be setting that to the heavens, because you do not want to be worrying about that when you are walking down the aisle. So at this point, I heavily powder. It's not for everybody, but you know, if you've got very, very dry skin, you may just need to do a light powder. But for most of my brides, I will do a really, really good covering. So now we've powdered, we're gonna do the rest of the eye. So we're gonna do the under eye, and I'm gonna be taking that more taupey grey colour on a tiny little brush like this, and I am going to be, now you don't want to take this too far down the eye, so you literally want to keep it nice and close to your lash line. And I'm literally just rubbing it underneath just to define it slightly. So you don't want to use a colour that's too dark on this section, and make sure you're buffing away any fallout straight away, so it's not sat on your under eye. You want to make sure that it's quite a mid-toned colour, nothing too dark, because you don't want it to look too harsh. And then I'm literally taking that same colour and doing it on the other under eye, as close to the lash line as you can get. Obviously, the further down you take it under your eye, the smokier it's going to look. So once you've done that little bit of shadow under your eye, a nice little finishing touch to the eye, which you don't have to do, but I like to do, is taking a skin coloured liner. This is just a Primark one, and lining the waterline just to brighten the eyes slightly. This is just going to make them look a little bit more open. Obviously, some people are going to prefer to have a brown in the waterline, which you can do, and that's going to make your eyes look a little bit more sultry. But for most people, they want quite a bright eye, quite wide, dull looking eye. So just using a nice skin toned liner just gives that effect. So when it comes to contour and bronzing, my favourite bronzer to use on brides is actually the Charlotte Tilbury, what's it called actually? Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow, if I can get my words out. So it looks like this, and this is a much more natural looking bronzer. So it's got a slightly cooler undertone to it. So typically on the day-to-day I will use MAC Give Me Sun, what the hell am I talking about, because it's really, really dark, but I'm going to use this today because this is what I use on my brides. So I take a big fluffy brush because this just gives me a more natural finish and a more blown out finish. So then I'll take the darker side, the contour side, and I'll pinch the brush slightly, and I will just very, very gently sculpt out the cheeks. So this is literally the complete opposite of what I'll do on myself, or if I'm doing a night out glam. If I'm doing something that's a little bit heavier, I will go in with a darker bronzer and I'll go in with a more sculpting brush. But for bridal, obviously we just want it to be really soft and natural, so the more buffed out it looks, the better. But we still want it to be a little bit chiseled. So my favourite blusher for bridal is the Becca Cosmetics blusher in Flower Child. It's just this really pretty soft pink, and it's got a little bit of reflex of gold and stuff in it. And I would just lightly take that onto the cheeks. Now, blush is a funny product because it tends to be the one product which disappears on people's face first. So I always say to people, I'm going to go a bit heavier with the blusher because that's going to disappear off your face first, and it's the thing which makes you look flushed and pretty and bridal the most, I think. So that's kind of my main tip for you guys that are doing this yourself, is don't go too heavy with it, but go heavy enough that you think, oh, I've got blusher on, because as the day goes on it will just like vanish. And to highlight, I'm going to take the highlighter shade from the Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. And this is a really nice highlighter because it's not going to give you that intense shiny highlighter. We're already, as you can see, highlighted from the cream products that we've used, and this is just going to emphasize that slightly. So it's going to give you a more natural candle light type glow rather than that very Instagram harsh highlighting type look. And then we just need to mascara the bottom and top lashes. So to start the lips, you need to remove all the product off there, and the lip liner which I really like for this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, because this is a much more natural looking liner. It's just going to enhance your lips naturally. So I will slightly overline mine, but obviously that's dependent on what you like. So it's just a really nice pink. And then for lipstick, my favourite lipstick for anybody that's doing anything slightly more mauvey is Modesty by MAC. So I'm going to take that and pop it on. Because this is a really natural, balmy, comfortable lip colour, but it's got that slight cool undertone to it. Which makes it perfect for anybody that's having a more mauvey coloured eye. It's got really good colour payoff, but at the same time it's super comfortable on the lips, so you're not going to feel like they're too dry or anything like that, but then it's not like a gloss where it's like uncomfortable and getting stuck in your hair. So with this lip colour, obviously it's not a long-lasting lipstick. I tend not to use those on people unless they ask me to, because they are just so unflattering, because they dry the lips out and I just think that they're not very comfortable. So where I can, I will always use a more creamier lipstick. Although this does last and it will stain your lips slightly, you will need to reapply it throughout the day. Lip liner is also really good for that, popping that underneath, because it'll make the colour last a little bit longer. So once you've got your lipstick on, that is basically the makeup done. I know a lot of people like setting sprays. Because I do quite a dewy finish on the skin anyway, I tend not to want to use a setting spray, but it's all just, again, personal preference. One that I do like is the Mario Badescu Rose Water. I also like the Urban Decay All Night Setting Spray if you want something that's going to last a long time. But also to freshen up your makeup, I really like the Fix Plus by MAC as well. But I tend not to do it for bridal makeup, only because I want obviously the matteness to stay there for as long as possible, because we want this makeup to last all day into the night. So I tend not to really use a setting spray unless the person really insists on using one. But yeah, that is basically how I do my classic bridal glam with a mauvey twist to it. Obviously, everybody likes something different when it comes to their bridal makeup. For some people, this will be too heavy. For some people, this will definitely not be heavy enough. But this is kind of my set look that I do when somebody wants something mauvey and smoky. Obviously, bridal makeup looks come in such of an array of styles and colours that for this first video I wanted to concentrate on something more mauvey, but I will do some other different types of looks as well. Like I'll do a more natural one, I'll do one that's more on the pink tones, I'll do one that's more on the peachy tones, I might do like a vintage glam, because there are so many different types of brides out there, and I think sometimes as a bride you can look through makeup looks and you don't know what the terminology is to describe what you're looking for. So I thought this might be a good way of people to say, oh, I liked this type of makeup look that you did. Or for those of you who are obviously doing it yourself, you can have a little flick through and think, actually I prefer these colours, these go better with my flowers and my bridesmaids dresses and all that sort of thing. But what I'll do is I'll actually zoom out because I'm talking to you real close up right now. I guess a close up would be nice. Should we do a little close up? So I can talk to you from a little bit more of a normal distance. I will say, look, I've done my own hair today. How freaking good is that? I am so honestly shocked that I was able to create my hair into this type of bridal updo. Like, who even am I? I think lockdown is sending me into this creative spiral that I just can't control myself anymore. But I also wanted you guys to see what this would look like with your hair up and done and with a little white dress on, so you can kind of get a vibe of what this type of makeup look looks like. And that is all I've got to tell you basically about how to create a mauvey bridal makeup look. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was fun. I hope it gave you some inspiration. I hope you're all still looking forward to your weddings, because I know that what we're going through at the minute is crazy and a lot of people are in so much turmoil over what's going to happen with their weddings. But just hold tight guys, it will be fine, everything will get sorted. We've just got to ride this through a little bit. And for those of you that have had to cancel, I am so sorry, but I am really looking forward to your wedding going ahead at some point in the next year or maybe next year, and just enjoy this process of the run up towards the wedding. And yeah, I can't wait to see you all. You're all going to be so beautiful. And if you do your own makeup, good luck, have fun with it, don't forget to practice. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!